The morning sun cast a golden glow over Kensington Palace as Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood before the ornate mirror in her dressing room. Today was not just any day. It was the day that would mark a new chapter in British history, and she knew the entire world would be watching every step they took. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the delicate headpiece that had been specially crafted for this momentous occasion. The weight of tradition and expectation felt heavier than the precious metals and gems she would wear. Behind her, a team of stylists worked with quiet precision, understanding that every detail mattered on this historic day. Prince William paced the corridor outside, his usually calm demeanor betraying hints of nervous energy. He had been preparing for this day his entire life, yet the magnitude of what lay ahead still overwhelmed him. The sound of his children's laughter drifted from their rooms, a welcome reminder of the joy that existed beyond the formality of royal duties. Princess Charlotte sat perfectly still as her hair was arranged, her eyes bright with curiosity about the grand adventure that awaited them. At 8 years old, she understood that today was special, though she couldn't fully grasp how this ceremony would change their lives forever. She had practiced her curtsy dozens of times, determined to make her parents proud. Prince George, the future king, adjusted his miniature ceremonial outfit with the seriousness of someone far beyond his years. His parents had explained his important role in the ceremony, and he carried that responsibility with remarkable grace for a child. The weight of destiny seemed to rest lightly on his young shoulders. Prince Louis, the youngest of the three, bounced excitedly in his chair as his outfit was fitted one final time. His infectious enthusiasm brought smiles to everyone in the room, reminding them that despite all the pomp and ceremony, this was still a family preparing for a special day together. The household staff moved through the palace with practiced efficiency, coordinating every aspect of the family's preparation. Each person understood their crucial role in ensuring that the Wales family would arrive at Westminster Abbey, looking flawless and ready to make history. Catherine took a deep breath and looked at her reflection one final time. The woman staring back at her was no longer just the girl from Berkshire who had fallen in love with a prince at university. She was now a key figure in one of the most important ceremonies the nation had seen in generations. The sound of cars arriving outside signaled that their departure time was approaching. Security teams had been working for months to ensure every detail of their journey would go smoothly. The route to Westminster Abbey had been planned and rehearsed countless times, with backup plans for every possible scenario. William joined his wife in the dressing room, taking her hand gently. They shared a moment of quiet understanding, knowing that when they stepped outside, they would no longer be just a family getting ready for an important day. They would become central figures in a ceremony watched by millions around the globe. The children gathered in the main hallway, their excitement now tempered with the awareness that something truly significant was about to begin. Charlotte smoothed her dress nervously, while George checked his appearance in the hallway mirror. Louis continued to beam with joy, his natural happiness undiminished by the formal atmosphere. Palace staff conducted final checks on every detail, from the positioning of jewelry to the length of trains and the shine of shoes. Nothing could be left to chance on a day when the entire world would scrutinize every photograph and video frame. Catherine's personal secretary approached with the final schedule, confirming timing and procedures one last time. The princess nodded, her transformation from nervous preparation to regal composure now complete. She had found her center and was ready to face whatever the day would bring. The family gathered at the main entrance where their vehicles waited gleaming in the morning light. The moment had arrived to leave the safety and privacy of their home and step into history. Each member of the Wales family understood that they were about to participate in something that would be remembered for generations to come. The convoy of sleek black vehicles moved through the streets of London with military precision. Inside the lead car, the Wales family sat in contemplative silence, watching familiar landmarks transform into a sea of celebrating crowds. The city they knew so well had been completely transformed for this historic day. Catherine gazed out the window at the thousands of people lining the streets, many of whom had camped overnight to secure the best viewing spots. Their faces were painted with Union Jack colors and they waved flags with unbridled enthusiasm. The sight of such devotion and excitement helped calm her pre-ceremony nerves. William pointed out interesting sights to the children, maintaining a sense of normalcy despite the extraordinary circumstances. He wanted them to remember this day not just as a formal obligation, but as a remarkable adventure they shared as a family. His protective instincts were heightened by the magnitude of attention focused on them. Prince George pressed his face to the window, amazed by the sheer number of people who had gathered to witness their journey. He waved tentatively at the crowds, delighted when his small gesture received thunderous cheers in return. The responsibility he felt was balanced by the joy of seeing so many happy faces. Charlotte sat elegantly beside her brother, naturally adopting the poise she had observed in her mother. She understood the importance of appearing calm and composed, even though her heart raced with excitement. Her small hand reached for her mother's, seeking reassurance in the familiar touch. Louis bounced in his seat with barely contained energy, pointing excitedly at the decorations adorning every building they passed. His wonder at the spectacle was infectious, bringing smiles to his siblings' faces despite the formal atmosphere. His natural joy provided a welcome contrast to the day's solemnity. The security detail moved like a well-choreographed dance around their convoy, with police motorcycles clearing the path ahead and helicopters maintaining watch from above. Every precaution had been taken to ensure their safe passage through the celebrating crowds that packed every available space along their route. Street vendors had set up stalls selling commemorative items, their cheerful calls adding to the festival atmosphere that had engulfed the capital. The smell of traditional British fare wafted through the air, creating a uniquely British celebration that honored both tradition and community spirit. As they approached Westminster, the crowds grew even denser, with people hanging from windows and perched on rooftops to catch a glimpse of the royal family. The noise level increased dramatically, creating a wall of sound that could be heard even through the specially reinforced windows of their vehicle. Catherine began reviewing the ceremony details one final time, mentally rehearsing each step of the complex proceedings that awaited them. She had studied every aspect of the ritual, understanding that her role required perfect execution under the scrutiny of billions of viewers worldwide. The children's excitement grew as they recognized the iconic towers of Westminster Abbey in the distance. This was no longer just another royal engagement for them. It was their first experience of being central participants in a ceremony of such historical significance. William felt the weight of generations of royal history as they drew closer to the Abbey. He thought of his father, grandmother, and all the monarchs who had walked these same paths before him. The continuity of tradition felt both comforting and overwhelming in its significance. Television crews positioned at strategic points along the route captured every moment of their journey, broadcasting their progress to eager audiences across the globe. Commentary in dozens of languages described their outfits, expressions, and interactions, making them unwitting ambassadors for British culture and tradition. The final approach to Westminster Abbey revealed the full scale of the day's preparations. Barriers held back massive crowds while invited guests made their way into the historic building. The scene resembled something from a fairy tale, with its combination of ancient architecture and modern pageantry. Their convoy slowed as they neared the Abbey's entrance, giving the gathered crowds extended opportunities to cheer and wave. The children waved back enthusiastically, their natural warmth connecting them with the celebrating masses who had traveled from across the Commonwealth to witness this historic moment. Palace staff waited at predetermined positions around the Abbey, ready to assist with every aspect of their arrival and preparation for the ceremony. The months of planning were about to be put to the ultimate test as the Wales family prepared to step from their vehicles and into the pages of history. The moment the car doors opened, the world changed completely for the Wales family. The carefully controlled environment of their vehicle gave way to a symphony of camera clicks, cheering crowds, and the ancient bells of Westminster Abbey ringing out across London. The transition from private family to public figures was instant and absolute. Catherine stepped out with practiced grace, her carefully chosen outfit catching the morning light perfectly. Every element of her appearance had been planned to honor tradition while making a personal statement. The crowd's reaction was immediate and enthusiastic, their appreciation for her elegance echoing across the gathered masses. The children emerged with varying degrees of comfort with the sudden attention. George straightened his shoulders and walked with measured steps, clearly aware of his important role in the day's events. His young face showed concentration as he mentally reviewed the instructions his parents had given him about proper behavior during such formal occasions. Charlotte glided out of the car with natural poise that surprised even seasoned royal watchers. Her dress flowed perfectly as she moved, and her confident smile suggested she was genuinely enjoying the experience rather than simply enduring it. Her ability to connect with the crowd through eye contact and waves showed wisdom beyond her years. Louis bounded out with characteristic enthusiasm, his face lighting up at the sight of so many people gathered in one place. His genuine joy was infectious, drawing laughter and cheers from the crowd who recognized his authentic happiness. His parents exchanged amused glances at their youngest son's undiminished exuberance. William emerged last, his presence immediately commanding attention from both the crowd and the gathered media. His bearing reflected the gravity of the occasion, while maintaining the approachable warmth that had made him beloved by the British public. He took a moment to survey the scene, ensuring his family was comfortable before proceeding. The steps leading up to Westminster Abbey had been transformed into a red carpet pathway, flanked by honor guards in full ceremonial dress. The ancient stones of the abbey seemed to whisper stories of the countless monarchs and dignitaries who had walked this same path throughout British history. Palace staff moved discreetly around the family, making final adjustments to outfits and ensuring every detail was perfect. The months of preparation came down to these crucial moments when appearance and protocol would be scrutinized by millions of viewers around the world. Catherine paused to exchange brief words with several dignitaries who had gathered near the abbey entrance. Her diplomatic skills were on full display, as she managed to appear genuinely interested in each conversation while maintaining awareness of the schedule and her family's needs. The children stayed close to their parents, following the careful choreography they had practiced repeatedly in the weeks leading up to the ceremony. George held his head high with dignity that impressed onlookers, while Charlotte and Louis flanked their parents with natural grace that suggested they were born for such moments. Photographers, positioned at every angle, captured the family's arrival from multiple perspectives. Knowing these images would become historic records of one of the most significant days in recent British royal history. The interplay of light, shadow, and ancient architecture created a dramatic backdrop for their documentation. Inside the abbey, the greatest names in British society and international dignitaries had already taken their seats. The building hummed with anticipation as guests craned their necks to catch the first glimpse of the arriving royal family through the massive doors that would soon open to admit them. The family paused at the threshold of Westminster Abbey, taking a collective breath before entering the sacred space where so much British history had unfolded. This moment represented the transition from their journey through London streets to their participation in a ceremony that would be remembered for generations. William placed gentle hands on his children's shoulders, offering final words of encouragement and reminding them of their important roles in the day's proceedings. His quiet confidence helped steady any lingering nerves and prepared them for the grandeur that awaited inside the historic building. The massive doors of Westminster Abbey began to open, revealing glimpses of the magnificent interior that had been prepared for this momentous occasion. The sound of the organ and the sight of hundreds of assembled guests created an atmosphere of reverence and celebration that took the family's breath away. Catherine took William's arm as they prepared to enter together, their children arranged beside them in the formation they had practiced so many times. The moment had arrived to step across the threshold and into a ceremony that would mark not just a coronation, but the beginning of a new era in British royal history. The interior of Westminster Abbey took their breath away, even though they had visited many times before. Today, the ancient walls seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, transformed by the presence of dignitaries from around the world and the weight of the historic ceremony about to unfold. Every stone seemed to whisper the stories of 900 years of royal history. As they processed down the nave, the Wales family moved with measured steps that had been carefully rehearsed. The sound of their footsteps echoed through the vast space, creating a rhythm that seemed to match the beating of their hearts. 2,000 guests rose to their feet in unison, creating a wave of respect that followed their progress. Catherine kept her eyes forward while remaining aware of her children's comfort and positioning. The months of preparation had equipped her well for this moment, but nothing could have fully prepared her for the emotional impact of participating in such a significant piece of living history. Her composure reflected years of training and natural grace. George walked with remarkable dignity for someone so young, his understanding of the ceremony's importance evident in every careful step. He had studied the procedures extensively and took pride in representing his generation of the royal family with appropriate solemnity. His concentration was absolute as he navigated the complex choreography. Charlotte moved with the natural elegance that had charmed the public since her earliest appearances. Her dress rustled softly as she walked, adding to the symphony of sounds that filled the abbey. Her smile was subtle but genuine, showing she was managing to enjoy this extraordinary experience despite its formal nature. Louis maintained his joyful demeanor while showing remarkable restraint for a child his age. His eyes darted around the magnificent interior, taking in details that would stay with him for the rest of his life. His wonder at the grandeur was evident but controlled, showing the effectiveness of his parents' preparation. The assembled guests represented the highest levels of British society and international dignitaries from across the Commonwealth and beyond. Their presence created an atmosphere of global significance that elevated the ceremony beyond a national event to something of worldwide historical importance. William felt the weight of tradition as they moved through the abbey, thinking of his ancestors who had participated in similar ceremonies throughout the centuries. His role as heir to the throne took on new meaning in this sacred space. Surrounded by the symbols and traditions that had shaped British monarchy for generations, and the organist filled the vast space with music that had been carefully chosen to honor both tradition and the significance of this particular ceremony. The sound reverberated off ancient stones, creating an acoustic experience that seemed to transport everyone present beyond the ordinary world into something truly sacred. Photographers and cameramen positioned throughout the abbey captured every moment while remaining as unobtrusive as possible. Their equipment represented modern technology documenting ancient traditions, creating a bridge between past and present that would allow future generations to witness this historic day. As they approached their designated seats, the family could see the altar area where the most sacred parts of the ceremony would take place. The sight of the coronation chair and other ceremonial objects brought home the reality that they were about to witness something that had not occurred for generations. The children took their seats with careful attention to protocol, their behavior reflecting the extensive coaching they had received. Each understood their role as representatives of the younger generation of the royal family, carrying themselves with dignity while maintaining their individual personalities. Catherine and William exchanged glances that conveyed both nervousness and excitement about the historic moment they were privileged to witness. Their shared experience of this extraordinary day would become a treasured memory that would bind their family together in a unique way for the rest of their lives. The atmosphere in the abbey reached a crescendo of anticipation as the moment approached for the ceremony to begin in earnest. Every person present understood they were about to participate in history, whether as active participants or witnesses to events that would be studied and remembered for centuries to come. The Wales family settled into their positions with the quiet confidence that came from thorough preparation and deep understanding of their roles. They were ready to play their part in a ceremony that would mark not just a coronation, but the continuation of traditions that connected them to over 1,000 years of British royal history. The ancient stones of Westminster Abbey seemed to pulse with energy as hundreds of years of tradition prepared to unfold once again, with the Wales family playing their crucial role in maintaining the continuity that made the British monarchy one of the world's most enduring institutions. The ceremony began with a fanfare that seemed to make the very foundations of Westminster Abbey tremble with anticipation. The Wales family watched with rapt attention as centuries-old traditions unfolded before their eyes, each ritual carrying the weight of history and the promise of continuity into the future. Every moment felt both familiar from their preparation and utterly extraordinary in its execution. Catherine found herself moved by the profound symbolism of each element in the ceremony. The ancient words, the sacred objects, and the solemn music combined to create an atmosphere unlike anything she had experienced before. Her role as a witness to history felt both humbling and inspiring as she watched traditions that predated the discovery of the New World. The children remained remarkably focused, Throughout the lengthy proceedings, their preparation evident in their attentive posture and respectful silence, George followed every aspect of the ceremony with intense concentration, understanding that he was watching procedures he would one day need to know intimately as future king. Charlotte sat with perfect posture, her young face reflecting the solemnity of the occasion, while her eyes sparkled with genuine interest in the pageantry surrounding them. She had learned enough about royal history to appreciate the significance of what she was witnessing, making her feel connected to generations of royal women before her. Louis managed to maintain his composure despite the length of the ceremony, occasionally whispering questions to his parents when appropriate moments arose. His natural curiosity about the proceedings showed his developing understanding of his family's unique position in British society and history. William felt the emotional impact of watching his father participate in a ceremony that represented the culmination of decades of preparation and service. The moment held personal significance beyond its historical importance, marking a transition that would affect their entire family in profound ways for years to come. The music throughout the ceremony transported everyone present beyond the ordinary world into something truly transcendent. The combined voices of the choir, the majestic organ, and the orchestral accompaniment created a sonic tapestry that seemed to weave past, present, and future into a single, unified experience of national celebration. Distinguished guests from around the world watched with fascination as British traditions unfolded in their full ceremonial glory. The ceremony served as a window into the deep cultural heritage that had shaped not just Britain, but influenced democratic traditions and constitutional monarchies around the globe. The most sacred moments of the ceremony commanded absolute silence from the vast congregation, creating an atmosphere of reverence that could be felt in every corner of the ancient abbey. These were the moments that transformed the proceedings from spectacle to something approaching the spiritual, touching everyone present regardless of their personal beliefs. Catherine noticed how the ceremony connected past and present in ways both obvious and subtle. The medieval Latin phrases, the Renaissance music, and the Victorian additions all blended seamlessly with modern elements, creating a living tradition that honored history while remaining relevant to contemporary life. Firstly, children began to understand more fully their connection to the long line of British royalty as they watched the ceremony unfold. The realization that they were part of an unbroken chain, stretching back over a millennium, gave new meaning to their roles and responsibilities as members of the royal family. As the ceremony reached its climactic moments, the Wales family found themselves caught up in the emotion and significance of what they were witnessing. The combination of personal family history and national tradition created an experience that would remain with them for the rest of their lives. The congregation's responses to the ceremonial questions rang out clearly through the abbey, creating a sense of participation that made everyone present feel they were contributing to this historic moment rather than simply observing it. The Wales family joined their voices with thousands of others in affirmation of tradition and continuity. William squeezed Catherine's hand during one of the ceremony's most moving moments, sharing the profound emotion of watching his father take on the full responsibilities of kingship. The personal and public dimensions of their lives merged completely in that sacred space, creating memories that would strengthen their family bond. The ancient rituals reached their conclusion with a sense of completion that felt both satisfying and transformative. The Wales family had witnessed something that connected them not just to their own heritage, but to the broader sweep of British history and the millions of people who looked to the monarchy for continuity and stability in an ever-changing world. As the final notes of the ceremonial music faded into the stone vaults above, the Wales family prepared for the next phase of this historic day, knowing they had just participated in something that would be remembered and studied for generations to come as a defining moment in British royal history. The ceremony concluded with a crescendo of celebration that seemed to lift the entire congregation beyond the confines of Westminster Abbey and into a shared moment of national joy. The Wales family rose with everyone else, their hearts full of the profound experience they had just shared as witnesses to one of the most significant events in recent British history. As they prepared to process out of the abbey, the family moved with the same careful dignity they had shown upon entering, but now their faces reflected the satisfaction of having successfully participated in something truly extraordinary. The weight of responsibility they had carried into the ceremony had been transformed into a sense of accomplishment and deeper connection to their royal heritage. Catherine walked with renewed confidence, knowing she had played her part perfectly in a ceremony, watched by millions around the world. Her grace under pressure had been tested and proven, strengthening her sense of belonging within the royal family and her ability to handle whatever future ceremonies and responsibilities might require. The children processed out with visible pride in their successful participation in such an important family occasion. George's serious demeanor throughout the ceremony had shown his growing understanding of his future role, while Charlotte's natural poise had impressed seasoned royal watchers who recognized her developing presence as a working royal. Louis bounced slightly as they walked, his irrepressible energy finally beginning to show after hours of exemplary behavior. His successful participation in such a lengthy and formal ceremony demonstrated his growing maturity and his ability to rise to important occasions when his family needed him to represent them well. William felt a profound sense of completion as they left the sacred space where his father had just been crowned. The day marked not just a national milestone, but a personal transition that would affect every aspect of their family life going forward. His role as heir to the throne had taken on new meaning and immediacy. The massive doors of Westminster Abbey opened to reveal a transformed London, where the celebrations had reached fever pitch during the hours of ceremony. The contrast between the solemn interior of the Abbey and the joyous chaos of the celebrating crowds created a perfect balance of reverence and jubilation. Their emergence from the Abbey triggered an explosion of cheers from the waiting crowds, who had maintained their vigil throughout the lengthy ceremony. The sight of the Wales family, having successfully completed their roles in this historic day, sent waves of excitement through the thousands of people gathered in the surrounding streets. Photographers captured the family's expressions as they stepped back into the daylight, documenting faces that showed satisfaction, relief, and genuine happiness at having been part of something so significant. These images would become treasured records of a family that had helped make history while remaining true to their individual personalities. The children waved enthusiastically at the crowds, their earlier nervousness completely replaced by genuine enjoyment of the celebration surrounding them. Their authentic responses to the public's enthusiasm created moments of connection that reminded everyone present that behind all the ceremony and tradition was a real family, sharing a remarkable day together as they made their way to their vehicles for the return journey. The Wales family carried with them memories that would last a lifetime. They had successfully navigated one of the most challenging and significant days any royal family could face, emerging stronger and more united than ever before. The drive back through London revealed a city transformed by joy and celebration. Street parties had erupted spontaneously throughout the capital, creating a festival atmosphere that would continue well into the evening. The Wales family watched through their windows as the nation celebrated not just a coronation, but the continuation of traditions that connected past and future. Catherine reflected on how the day had changed her understanding of her role within the royal family and British society. She had entered Westminster Abbey as the Princess of Wales, but she emerged with a deeper appreciation of what that title meant and the responsibilities it carried for the rest of her life. The children chatted excitedly about their favorite moments from the ceremony, their voices filled with the satisfaction that comes from successfully completing an important task. They had represented their generation of the royal family with distinction, proving they were ready for whatever future roles and responsibilities awaited them. William looked ahead to the future with confidence, knowing his family had proven they could handle the most significant challenges their positions might require. The day had tested their preparation, their unity, and their ability to serve the nation with dignity, and they had passed every test with flying colors. As their convoy disappeared into the celebrating streets of London, the Wales family carried with them the knowledge that they had just participated in history while remaining true to themselves. They had arrived at Westminster Abbey as a family preparing for an important day, and they departed as royals who had proven their readiness to serve the nation and Commonwealth for generations to come.